'Cause when it hurts so good, you know you're doing what you should. Hello and welcome to episode 11. 11. Now, when I say 11, I can't help but think 11, and then this happened. Oh, yes. What's this? Oh. 11. Oh, here we go. 11. We're in 11. Sending our wishes up to heaven. It's an expression. Don't need a question. Just putting out a good intention. 11. We're in 11. We're in 11. Putting it out, we're bringing it in. We're putting it out, we're bringing it in. We're in 11. Putting it out, we're bringing it in. We're putting it out, we're bringing it in. We're in 11. Putting it out, we're bringing it in. We're putting it out, we're bringing it in. We're in 11. Putting it out, we're bringing it in. Well, we're putting it out, we're bringing it in. Every time we have a thought, that's what we're doing. We're putting it out and we're bringing it in. That's what I like to consider when I hear 11. How about you? Do you know of the familiar when you see 11 on a clock, they say make a wish? Who is they? I don't know. I tried looking up the origins of this, and what the internet told me was that belief in making a wish at 11 likely originated from numerology, where the number 11 is considered significant and powerful. This practice gained popularity in the 1990s and 2000s, so way back yonder, influenced by New Age spirituality and cultural trends, where people began to associate 11 with moments of synchronicity and spiritual alignment. Oh, well, that's nice. Why not do a nice thing? You know, may nice things catch on, right? It's a little nicer than a 6-7, right? Like, what's that doing for anyone? I don't know, except making some giggles, and that's pretty good too. All right, really, 11 is just an opportunity, a little reminder time of, hey, I get to manifest. I get to put my intentions out into the universe. I get to focus my energy from my core and my heart and my consciousness and my deepest intentions outward. It's a time to breathe, you know? So it could be whatever you want it to be, and that goes the same for every other time in the day. Well, that's a spiel I wandered off into, really. What I'm wondering is, how are you doing? You know, it's been a long while. And if you were wondering, man, what's she been up to? She's not really turning them out. Like, what's going on? I thought this part would be more fun over congas. Isn't everything? All right, I'm going to be super real and straight up with you here. Yes, I went off to Italy. Yes, the Italian way definitely got deeply embedded, where I really felt no rush or urgency to do anything, and I feel like we should be able to flow with life. But with all that, throw in a breakup with a really good person, and dang, I was in it deep down. 'Cause when it hurts so bad, yeah, no one wants to hear that, so I didn't do it, okay? You know, facing all of the challenges that we humans do, and I had to do all of the healing work of processing and feeling my feelings and not placing any extra demands on myself. You know, sometimes it's enough just to take care of yourself, just to do what you gotta do to go about existing. And you better believe I made some lemonade out of the lemons, and I wrote myself a really nice song that it just hit. I love this song now. So, you know, we get to alchemize all of the pain and challenges in our lives. Hardship is like the fertilizer and the soil of our lives. And so we grow. And grow, I did. And just in time for spring. All right. Well, I hope you like what I have in store for you here. This episode is going to be all about us getting into our bodies and into our lives. And it's going to be good times. All right? Buckle up. Or, you know, loosen up your buckle. Relax. Contract your core. Lengthen your spine. Take a breath. We're going to drop in. We're dropping in. We're going down, down, down into you. Where is your mind? Calling you out. up in your head, thinking a bunch of thoughts? It is time to inhabit your body. That's right. Your meat suit. Get in it. Your right now. Your physicality. Reality. Take a breath. You can always come back to your breath. It is the most right now thing you got going on. That and a billion cellular processes, but you don't need to worry about that. Let it all go. Let all the tension in your body go, your shoulders, your face, your legs, your feet. Relax your teeth, your jaw. Oh yeah. Just let it go, let it go, let it go. And maybe close your eyes. And go inside. See what you feel in there. Maybe open your eyes and look around. Look around at the world around you and consider how you're a part of everything, the same particles of matter, and you have the mind energy to generate a positive ripple into the field. You know, we're connected to it all. So wish you well. So wish you well, so wish you well. All right, well. So wish it well, like let us wish everyone and everything well because we're connected to everyone and everything. So when everyone is doing well, we are doing well. A rising tide lifts all boats, as they say. So let's raise the vibes, right, my friends? Here we are. Let's talk about our bodies, how amazing they are, and why it's so awesome to be getting down in it. Our bodies are a portal to the infinite intelligence of the universe, made by billions of years of evolution. And through our direct experience of our bodies, we can access the present moment and the power of now. You don't need to take my word for it, because I'm going to be using the words of our dear friend Eckhart Tolle. You know, when it's hard times, I'm getting back into Eckhart and getting grounded. And so I've returned to the power of now, this time in audio. I read this book like 20 years ago. You know, it hits different now. There are things that he says that I'm like, oh. And then there are some things that he says where I'm like, what? And then I'm rewinding and I'm trying to understand. And then I'm like, maybe in another 20 years I'll get it. But chapter 5, 6, 7, but starting with 5, he starts to get into the human body and how we can practice becoming present. And he really emphasizes that we can access this present moment, this power of now, the ultimate power that we can wield by going into our body, dropping in. And I'm like, yes, Eckhart. This is what we're doing here. We're dropping in back to basics. And he says it starts with the breath. And then from there, you start to sense, what is the aliveness in my foot? Both feet. What is the aliveness in my legs, in my gut, in my core, in my chest? What are the feelings and sensations that I'm having there? Can we actually feel into the energy field of ourselves? The physical matter. And none of this is revolutionary, new ideas, news breaking. You gotta feel yourself. Like, this is old, really old. As old as probably Buddha and before him even. There's no school like the old school, so don't think that you are too cool. Know what I'm saying? All right? None of us are too cool to be as basic as we need to be, which is just to be with ourselves. It's the simplest, most basic thing. And the hard part's just doing it. We have to do it. We have to be disciplined enough to keep coming back to ourselves and stop getting lost in thought. All right, let's practice, okay? I'm gonna put on some nice nature sounds, okay? Just some birds and white noise. And I want you to just like be with yourself for just a mo. All right, just breathe. This should be about 2 nice inhales and exhales. So take it in. coming back. Hey guys, thought we needed to like ease back into our conversation here. Was that nice for you? I think more nature sounds, right? I had a request for nature sounds and I was like, yes, I was so thinking that because I've been getting outside more. It's springtime and I just love all the bird sounds and the babbling brooks and just the sounds of nature. And, you know, it's a good time to practice listening. And in that state of listening, there's a little bit of stillness in the mind. Eckhart talks about all that too. And we're going to be getting back to Eckhart and his teachings. But first, without having to redo this entire episode, I'm going to have to make sense with this next part that I did, where basically, you know, I was talking to people about how this year, 2026, the year of the horse, feels like it is flying, like going so fast. I can't believe we're in May already. And how it feels a little bit like we're being dragged by this horse. And it came to this idea where it feels like we need to get on the horse and holding the reins in our hands. And then it's going to be like, giddy up, full speed ahead, woo woo, and like a good time. It's supposed to be a good time, right? If you're not having a good time, you're probably not on the horse. So how do we get on the horse? We got to get a hold of ourselves. Because we are the horse. That's the thing. We're it. It's far out. But, you know, it's like all things are true at once. We need to get on the horse, and we are the horse. And we have to get a hold of ourselves by getting the reins in our hands. When you are more consciously aware and present in your body, in your life, you're not checked out. You're not off in your mind wondering and wandering, and all of a sudden you have so much more time open up to you because here you are. What are you going to do with this time? What are you going to do with this space? Do you have a mission that you need to fulfill? Is there a sense of purpose that's been calling to you that you may have been ignoring, and then this horse is just dragging you along? What's going on? When we're on the horse, embodied with the horse, holding the reins, we have more time and space to act intelligently. And with the flow of intelligence that is coming through source all of the time, animating and regulating nature, everything from the trees and the animals to you and your body, that intelligence. We want to be flowing with that. That's the good stuff. All right? What am I getting on about here? Where are we going with this? Did we already get there? Are we going somewhere else? Probably. Seems like a good time for a musical break. But with that, we're going to be emphasizing the point that we're getting on the horse by getting into the driver's seat of our own mind. You've got the reins in your hands. Giddy up. Key is to be in the driver's seat of your mind, not get stuck looking behind. Check the rear view if you must reflect to connect the dots. Gotta recollect, oh, keep your eye on that front window, you know. You better keep looking ahead. Keep your eye on that front window, you know. You better keep looking ahead. You're not as smart as you think. You think you're so clever, your body knows better. Better yet, don't forget to stop and wait a second, just pay attention. It's as quick as a blink, a deep inner knowing where you should be going. When you listen to intuition, you become your life magician. La da 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 da. When you listen to intuition, you become your life magician. Gotta love a summary in song. And I want to talk about the idea of attention for a bit, because I'm saying there, we have to pay attention. That's how we get to access the power of now in the present moment and feel the feelings in our body so we can be directed by our intuition and source intelligence. All of this requires us to pay attention. And in this modern world, our attention is so spread and scrambled. They call it the attention economy now, where our attention is actually like currency. And that's why so many tech things are so constantly trying to grab our attention, and we feel like we all have attention deficit disorder, but actually our brains are just constantly overstimulated, and we're not practicing the focus that we might need to stay more attentive to a singular thing. And that's what we're trying to practice and cultivate with dropping into the body and paying attention to sensations and being present with the here and now. And, there's a time for very concentrated focus, and then there's a time for more open focus, expansive, of just noticing the world around you. But I like this example that I read in a book that was talking about the power of sunlight, how the sunlight alone, it's going to warm everything up and shine light, but it's not really going to do much. But if you put a magnifying glass out and run the sunlight through it, you can light some things on fire. Very focused, concentrated power through that magnification. And magnification is your attention and your focus. And so we're in the year of the fire horse. Is there anything that you're trying to light on fire in your life in a good way? Is there anything you're trying to light on fire in a bad way? Things to think about. I'm just thinking about it right now. I like it. All right. This is lit. But I'm staying focused and getting back to the point of the practice of paying attention in our bodies. Eckhart has something nice to say here. Eckhart says that feeling will get you closer to the truth of who you are than thinking. Okay? He said it, I'm repeating it, and sounds about right. I'm going to go with that. So it is important to pay attention to how we are feeling. Now, the way that we are thinking could inform the way that we're feeling, right? Like if there's a subject that feels really triggering for you, all of a sudden you might feel a well of emotion coming up in you that you're like, oh. Now, that's okay. Pay attention to the feeling. Because if you just sit with the feeling of it, after several minutes, it will probably fade. But if you keep focusing on the thoughts that are generating that feeling, it's going to perpetuate. And this is everything that our dear Dr. David Hawkins was talking about in letting go. This is the key, really, to being a peaceful human, is to feel your feelings and then let the energy state of them dissipate, and not to keep feeding those feelings with your thought forms. And then you get to be free. You feel the feeling and then you move on. Like children, they might get upset for a moment, they have their cry, and then they're like, okay, and they move on to the next thing. We don't need to harbor these things within us and keep telling ourselves the stories over and over again that perpetuate the negative feeling, unless we want to suffer. Because, some people do, I swear. They just want to suffer. Some people want to be a victim. You got to decide, who do you want to be? All right? Okay. But for real, and we need that suffering. Quite frankly, according to Eckhart and all the Buddhists and such, he's just repackaging Buddhism, suffering is what will push a human to the point where they will finally disidentify from their story and realize, wait a minute, none of this matters. This is not what is real. What is real is the here and now, my breath, my energy field. So, suffering is like the pressure that you put on coal that creates a diamond. So, yay for our suffering. And I guess it's up to every individual to decide when they've had enough and when they would like to end their suffering and surrender. Surrender is one of those words that can be helpful, or someone may resist it. I don't want to surrender. Surrender's bad. White flag? Well, better than a red flag. All right? Surrender is the balm on the wounds of life. Sure. Okay. But with that, Eckhart, he talks about something called the pain body. And we can just summarize that as this feedback loop between thoughts and emotions, and this negative energy field that is held in the body, perpetuated by the thoughts and the storytelling and the identifying with the story. So as long as we're in this loop, we're stuck in this suffering. Now, if we can put our conscious attention on just the feeling in the body, it takes energy away from the thought. So now the thought's kind of like the hamster on the wheel that's keeping everything in motion, that's keeping you on that track. But the hamster only can run on the wheel if it's given energy, focus, attention. That's the power. So if we are putting our focus and attention instead into the body, into the feeling itself, it may be uncomfortable at first. There might feel like heaviness or tightness in the chest, maybe nausea, maybe, some aches and pains. Just staying with the feeling, it will dissolve. Feelings can't last that long. Emotions, they can't. Don't run away, don't resist it. We surrender to it and we're like, all right, let me just be there with it. And then it disappears. Or maybe it doesn't disappear and you have an ongoing physical discomfort in your body and you might need to get that checked out. And I hope you have a great practitioner that can help you and guide you. And sometimes we need extra help and sometimes we got to figure it out for ourselves. And we do have a lot of resources to do so. And I'm going to use myself as an example here because I recently have noticed I'm having all sorts of discomfort in my hips, both hips, a little more on the right side. And I notice it every time I get up from a sitting position, all of this tightness, stiffness. And I'm like, I got to stretch more. I got to foam roll more. And I've been doing it all and it's ongoing. And then a friend said to me, I wonder what the spiritual meaning of hip pain is. And I thought, I didn't even consider that. Of course. So I look up online, what is the spiritual significance of hip pain? And would you believe it's so on point? Shout out to being real and vulnerable on the internet. Feeling stuck in life, feeling difficulty adapting to change. If it's more on the right hip, feeling difficulty with direction, and unresolved emotions. And I'm like, dang, this is going to be a lot more work than just foam rolling and stretching. Does this mean I have to finally go to therapy? All right. Listen, we're not here to talk about me, all right? We're here to talk about you. And I am going to now give you just a basic rundown of all the body parts and all of the possible things that it might mean on a deeper level, all right? And this is super general, so if you do have any physical ailments, then maybe look it up and see what else the internet has to say, or, a book. Okay, so we're going to begin with the head and neck, which could represent thoughts, intellect, and stubbornness. My sister recently told me that I have a slight lisp, and man, is it apparent to me now. And I'm just sorry, but this is what we're working with here. Specifically, the back of the head represents the past or unforgiven events, okay? The throat or neck area, but with the throat chakra there, unspoken truths, suppressed sadness, or creative blockages. But definitely difficulty with expression could get stuck in the neck. Shoulders, burdens, responsibilities, and pressures, life pressures. Chest or heart could be lack of joy, self-love, or emotional protection. The stomach or gut area, emotional processing, intuition, or anxieties. The back, support system in life. The upper back is a lack of emotional support, and the lower back relates to financial or survival fear. Hips, legs, feet, forward movement, stability, and grounding. Hips specifically hold repressed fear or trauma. Okay, and some common spiritual themes here. Unresolved past, like unforgiveness, often settles in the back of the head. Suppressed emotions, repressed grief or anger can manifest as physical pain. Chakra imbalances. Pain can reflect blockages in energy centers. So perhaps consider what chakra level discomfort that you have may be and do the humming chakra meditation to bring the vibes up in that area. And lastly, resistance to change. General body aches or stiffness can indicate resisting life changes or lacking gratitude. Dang, that hits actually. Honestly, my hips started bothering me when I had to move apartments and totally resisting change and lacking gratitude. So grateful to have a home, to have a nice place I can put down all my things and arrange them in a way that I want to. My goodness. Huh. All right, this is some real-time processing here. Well, that's about enough of that. But just to tie it all together now, if you're dealing with any kind of discomforts, physically, mentally, emotionally, if that was just maybe a little bit overwhelming, and it's overwhelming just to consider all of the ways and levels in which you need to heal yourself and do the work, well, let us consider this. The higher your state of consciousness, the more present you are, the better you'll be able to take it all on, and it won't stress you out. And if labels are helpful, Eckhart calls it object versus space consciousness. So in object consciousness, everything passes through the filter of thought from your conditioned past. And in space consciousness, you are more aware of the space around you and within you, and you have heightened senses, and this is when you are present and are in a higher state of conscious awareness. Okay, so the key is to keep paying attention to the feelings in your body. Now, this seems really, really simple, but the hardest part is your mind is going to want to keep chiming in and saying, this is boring. Could we do something else? All right, and check that app. See if anyone liked your story or whatever. The mind will keep pulling for your attention, and it's been trained this way. And as a modern human, we have been really trained by the society, and we're trying to get feral here, okay? Like, I just want to be feral. I just want to be a wild woman. Don't you? I mean, you could be a wild man, but don't you want to be wild, like not a caged animal? Okay? So society has absolutely wired us and trained us to be very mind identified. And this makes us distractible and very manipulatable. Okay, and that does not sound very feral to me. Okay, so in this next part, I'm going to be reading directly from the book that I referenced earlier with that sunlight metaphor. And why am I doing it twice? Well, because the story is all about focus, and that is exactly what we're doing here. We are staying really focused on focus. And I didn't realize I already had it in here twice, and that's just how it's shaken out, you know? Sometimes we just have to allow the unfolding. This book it's called Inspire Daily Wisdom for Holistic Living, written by a Swami. I cannot pronounce his name, so I shall not. But with that, beautiful wisdom in this book. And he talks about the age of distraction, which is very much this current time that we're in. And that's why I love this book. It was written very recently, so it's applicable, ancient wisdom, modern times. He says, undoubtedly, the ability to remain focused holds boundless potential. Consider the raw power of sunlight. Alone, it cannot ignite a piece of cotton. However, when the sunlight is harnessed and intensified through a magnifying glass directing its focused rays onto a piece of cotton, it quickly ignites. Similarly, as humans, our potential is limitless. However, it's only when we learn to channel our energies through the focused lens of our minds that we achieve magnificent results. Your mind is a magnifying glass, and you get to choose where you're going to place the magnifying glass, where you're going to put your focus and your attention. I love a good analogy. That's a nice one. It really makes you appreciate the power that you hold with your attention. And us modern humans, we do face a lot of challenges with the technology, with the phones, mostly with the phones, because it's our constant companion, that it very much makes it difficult to focus. And it makes it difficult just to be present, because if you have a lull in your time, then you're like, I guess I'll go on my phone because it's something to play with. It's something to do. Let my mind do something. That's in the best case scenario. In the worst case scenario, you're sitting there at work and you don't want to do the work you're doing, and instead you go into your phone and do whatever. Or even worse, if you are in the company of people, if you're at a gathering, a party, at a dinner table, and you feel uncomfortable and you don't know what to do with yourself, and you go into your phone, and no, get out of there. All right, I'm coming down. But, be there and maybe just take a breath. And that's an interesting moment. Why am I uncomfortable? Let me go into my body and feel, where is this discomfort? Is it in my chest, in my gut, in my right toes? Is it all in my head? Am I just in my head right now? Wait, what did that guy say? Wait, I really like these people. They mean a lot to me. Why aren't I paying attention to them? Oh, let me just come back to the moment and be there with the people who matter to you. Because when we're constantly escaping, whether it's in our phones or in our minds, that's when life seems to go by a little too fast. And, we only have so much time on this earth, so let's soak up the time we got. Be here, meow. Our phones are an amazing technology that makes our lives easier in many ways. I am so grateful. But we must use it with discipline and have boundaries with it, lest it completely takes over our lives. I mean, if that's what you want, then that's totally fine. I just really don't want it. I feel elevating anxiety the more time I spend looking at a screen. Recording this podcast right now, I'm very lucky. I get to be looking at trees and birds and some deer in the distance. I don't even want to look at the screen. Occasionally I do, and I'm like, yo, you've been spieling way too long on that. What you doing? Okay, but the time has come to talk about the phones, to really do the conversation I've been wanting to do on this, because, you can't really talk about the importance of attention without talking about why attention has become so difficult. And we've all got these things to deal with. I've got a phone. You've got a phone. Your mother's got a phone. We've all got a phone. If we're lucky enough to be here and listening to this episode right now, you're probably doing so on a phone. And it's most likely a smartphone, which gives you access to the internet and all of the apps, whether it's iPhone or Android, whatever dealer you prefer, you're in and connected to this grid matrix of online world. And it's cool because it allows us to all connect in with one another wherever we are in our separate places, but it's also not cool because it pulls us out of wherever we are in our separate places in our real life present now. It's a privilege to be a modern human and have access to these tools that allow us to do so much more than any humans ever were able to do. I went to Italy earlier this year. I was able to travel so easily without knowing where I was and where I was going, the language, and this phone was incredible. It's the best assistant. But it is a tool, and if we do not use it with discipline and awareness and boundaries, then it begins to use us and we become the tool because, we're all in a system, and there are people systems, organizations, corporations who created this technology, and they have their own motives. And earlier I had referenced the attention economy, and that is one of their primary goals, is to have our attention. The more attention that we give their product and what their product is showing us, more likely the more money we're going to spend as consumers and, keep feeding into the system. It all perpetuates. So this brings me to last year. I was listening to the Mel Robbins podcast, which if you love podcasts, I highly recommend Mel Robbins. She does incredible work, and I love the range of topics that she covers in her podcast, from life and our purpose and our goals to our health and to our mind. She's doing it all and very consistently, and I know she's got a whole team of people that help her, and they're doing a fantastic job. So a wealth of knowledge and information. So occasionally I'll bop in. And I bopped into this particular episode that had a title that caught my eye. You know, she's good at doing that. And it was called How to Stop Screwing Yourself Over. And I thought, all right, what else do you have to tell me? And it was all about phone use. And in it, she had interviewed this renowned psychiatrist who she calls Dr. K. The name is much longer, and I'll have trouble pronouncing it. So let's go with Dr. K. And I will include this episode, Mel Robbon show, in the show notes, so you can listen to this directly, because it was so good. I highly recommend it. They explained it beautifully, how the phones hijack our brains and the things to look for. I love the analogy that she uses that when we go into our phones, you have to think about it like you're going onto the casino floor. And the casino has one goal, and that is for you to spend money and to gamble. And it does it through all of its blinky, colorful lights and free drinks and feathers and all of the stimulation. And it just keeps you very awake and alert and pumping dopamine to make you want to stay there and keep spending your money. It's very exciting. So the phone works similarly. And I love this one suggestion that she had where you can actually put your phone in grayscale mode in the settings. So if you go to accessibility and then the display and text size, and then you go to color filters and you put the setting on, you want to filter the colors, it all becomes grayscale. And it's like you're watching an old 50s television and you're like, why is this so boring? You know, colors are very exciting to our brain, and I love colors. And I do this sometimes. Sometimes I really need the colors because I'm taking all the photos and I got to like see what I'm looking at and, you know, use the tool wisely. But we do have options for the boundaries. And the most important boundary is the timing in which we engage with our phone. This was my main takeaway, which was we have to consider in our bodies our dopamine system. Now, dopamine, it is generally known as the pleasure chemical. It's a neurotransmitter that is created in the brain, and it allows us to feel pleasure. Now, I had recently read how it is often misunderstood as a neurotransmitter, that it is not exactly like you do the thing that gives you pleasure, you get the dopamine. It's not so simple. It has more to do with the anticipation of something pleasurable. It gave the example of someone who has a gambling issue back on the casino floor. They're going to get the same amount of dopamine released if they win whatever they're gambling in versus if they lose. The winning didn't actually give them the big dopamine. It was the I'm going to go do the thing, I'm going to gamble. It gets their juices flowing, it gets them excited, and the dopamine gets released. So whatever the exact mechanism is, don't worry, because this concept is very simple, and I'm going to lay it out for you here. We as humans get a finite amount of dopamine every day. You know, it replenishes, but you get only so much per day. Now, imagine in your brain there is a lemon, and we'll call this your dopamine lemon. Inside the lemon, there is lemon juice or dopamine. And if you do certain kinds of activities, it might squeeze your lemon and you might get a little juice to come out. Now, a mild activity that might give you a little squeeze might be you wake up, you make your bed, you do a little exercise routine, you do a little bit of work that means something to you. These might be gentle squeezes of your lemon and give you a nice, slow, small dopamine release, and then you go on throughout your day doing your little squeezes. So the issue with our phones is that they were designed by very smart people to be a very strong squeeze. It is a strong stimulus to our brain that releases a lot of dopamine. So if you're going on your phone first thing in the morning and you're doing whatever the things are that you want to do, scrolling, checking your email, checking whatever, and it is absolutely giving you a strong dopamine squeeze, you've like juiced your lemon first thing in the day, and now here's the problem. You don't have any dopamine left for the rest of the day, and now your internal reward system, your motivation for doing anything that actually matters to you, your sense of purpose, your soul calling, You just don't have the juice for it because you squeezed your lemon too hard too soon. So my friends, timing is everything. And I'm not here to say, don't do that, don't be on your phone, womp, 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 okay? I'm just here to say, maybe it would be helpful to all of us to have more boundaries in the timing that we use our phone. And that, now, this is what I do, okay? When I go to sleep, my phone goes on airplane mode. It is my alarm clock, and I sleep with it right next to my head, and I don't want whatever EMF or, waves coming at it. It's a little thing that I do. So it goes on airplane mode, and then when I wake up in the morning, I wait to take it off airplane mode. First, I go about doing the things that I need to do for myself. I rise up, I make my bed, I have my green juice, I get my coffee going and do my little ritualistic coffee making. I sip my coffee while I read some of a book that I'm into. For a long time, it was first thing in the morning, Rick Rubin, The Creative Act. Just love it. Recently, it's been this inspired book. I'll do a little bit of movement. And then maybe after like a half hour, I will take my phone off airplane mode and let the texts roll in, the alerts, and see what is the world trying to throw at me today. And the main intention is I try not to let it be the first thing that I interface with in the day. And I could do even better than that, and I aspire to, but let's do this together. All right, that's the deal with the phone. That's all I'm wanting to say about this for like a year. So glad I got this out. And I'm sure this will be coming back up again. It is so relevant, especially for young people. These kids, they're getting phones so early and they don't know the effect that it has on their brain and their sense of motivation and purpose. And it really does matter. All right? Just saying. It's just one of those things as modern humans that we have to now manage because it is our attention, and it's the main thing that is consistently pulling at our attention. And it's hard because it's fun and it feels good. We all want to play our games and tune into whatever things that we enjoy tuning into. So right now we're tuning into ourselves. Hey, you still in there? You dropped in? How's your body feeling? What's it doing right now? You notice anything? We're back to our bodies, and perfect timing because I have more to say about what Eckhart said about being in our bodies. Eckhart says that by putting your attention in your body, inhabiting your body protects you by raising the total energy frequency of your field. So in a very literal way, you are raising your vibration, the particles and molecules that make you up. That is your energetic field. You can increase the energy there just by placing your focus, your attention inward into the body. If you're up in your mind all the time, generating all of this energy up in your head, in your frontal lobe, then all that energy gets sapped out of the body, and we may become more susceptible to getting sick, injured, who knows? Because you're not paying as much attention to the mechanics and movements of your body. You might be more likely to stumble or make mistakes. You're moving hastily. You're not embodied. We want to be embodied. So let's shake it out. Shake it out. Shake. Okay. So now in this next bit, I am reading something that I wrote earlier this week when trying to process some difficult feelings. Maybe it was last week, somewhere along the timeline. And now for you here. When pulled down into lower frequency emotions and state of being, I can be aware enough to know that, and then bring my attention to my 5 senses and my breath and my inner aliveness. And from there, I expand. Frequency raising in a moment, because it was all already there. Within the human being, brain, heart, electrical circuitry, there exists every energetic ring of frequency. You can go from 0 to 100 in a moment. The way to let go is to become present, to tap into the energy state of that. Because then you recall the story you were so identified with just before, and it seems far less interesting and certainly not worth the suffering it was just causing you. So it's a constant conscious choice to remain as present as possible, aligned with what is now. Straight up, that's the real-time processing of the human condition. You know, we might get upset, disappointed, all the negative emotions, so sad, depressed. And then we realize, oh, it was just a story I'm telling myself. Oh, look at me here in this body. I can breathe, I can see, I can feel, I can smell. What's that smell? Isn't it lovely? Okay. I mean, all the trees are blooming. We got flowers everywhere. It's delightful. Not a big fan of all the mulching. I'm not sure what that's all about, but, you know, I'm not a homeowner. Okay, so where do we go from here? We go to Italy, right? Yes. So I went to Italy with my good friend in February, and we had a lovely adventure. As, you know, one might expect. You're going to be bopping around. You're going to be exploring. And I guess, you know, what's amusing to me is I was there for 10 days. It was supposed to be 7, but because of the snowstorm, flights were delayed. So we got 3 extra days. And there was a lot of exploring, as you do when you're in a new place and you want to see everything. But with all that, in those 10 days, my favorite day there was the day that I was recovering from food poisoning. Yeah, I know. I'm going to get really real with you. I got some food poisoning when I was over there. I'm going to blame some old prosciutto that I should not have been messing around with. I think I ate more of it than the rest of the people present, and my gut flora was like, oh, hell to the no. I like to think that if there were a soundtrack to my GI tract, it would be like, you know, I'll freak out, or like Disco Inferno happening there. It was, you know, even though it was awful, it was still upbeat and it was still trying to party, but it was kicking some things out of the party that weren't belonging there. And what a brilliant expression of health and the body functioning properly. So grateful. So awful, but so grateful. So, food poisoning. Now, there are 2 big takeaways from this whole experience. One is, when you're on a vacation, but even when you're in your everyday life, there is a seeking of like highest, best possible experience. I guess you can call it the hedonistic treadmill, right? That you just want things to keep getting better and better and more luxurious and more fantastic and more exciting and more beautiful and more delicious, and oh, I want so much pleasure, and oh, I want to feel so good, and oh my God, it just keeps coming. Can it just keep getting better? Maybe. So that happens as a human, and certainly when you're on vacation, you want to be like, you're on vacation. You want to be taking in the best that life has to offer in this new place. And then something like food poisoning might hit you where, okay, now nothing matters. Anything that you were in your head about, and like all of your aspirations for life and all of the dramas and the whole world that exists in your head, none of it matters. You are so deeply in your body and it feels terrible. And you're like, oh my God, here I am in my body. I need to make my body feel better right now. And in these moments where you are so embodied and like you don't want to be because it's uncomfortable, but you have no choice because your body is revolting, you have to be with it and you have to just follow your body. And where your body wants to go is to the toilet. As far as physical human sensations go, I would say nausea is about the worst. Like, it's one step down from death, okay? Nobody wants nausea. And so when you are being pulled down into the rock bottom depths of experience of being alive in that way, like, oh my God, new lease on life. Because at that point, all I wanted was just to feel neutral. I just want to feel okay. I just want to feel like I can sit here and be comfortable. I'll take just sitting here contentedly, doing nothing, feeling just fine. You know what I mean? Like your bar for your happiness, it goes lower. And you know, that's not always a bad thing. We don't need to set the bar so high for happiness. That's crazy. We should have a high bar of standards for how we are treated in our lives by people. We should have a high bar for our values and all that. Sure, there is a time and a place for a high bar. But for your personal happiness and your sense of gratitude for being alive, bring her down. Bring her down low. Get low, okay? Because just to be alive and to have your body functioning properly for all of your cells and organ systems, your heart, your stomach, your intestines, your brain, your joints, your arteries and vessels, for everything to be working in perfect synchrony and supporting one another systemically, everyone as an orchestra, just beautiful music, it's all coherent. That is magnificent. And that is what we do get most of the time. If we're not sick, if we're not ill, then we have a symphony orchestra masterpiece happening in our body, in our consciousness, mind, body, physical, non-physical unit that we are, like all the time. And if that music is playing and it's coherent, God bless, universe bless, thank you. That was my number one takeaway from Italy, was happiness. It's not hard. It's actually very, very simple. I'm just happy to not be nauseous. That's it. Here I am. Number two takeaway, no pun intended. Okay. The second takeaway was that, again, the day after I had the food poisoning, when I was recovering, that was my favorite day there, because it was a day of no pressure, no expectations, don't have to do anything. You know, all the other days we were well and we were running around and exploring. We had rented a car. We're like, we're going to check out this ancient city. We're going to go to these hot springs. We're going to go to this old village. We're going to have this food at the restaurant. You know, it was marvelous experience on experience and exploring and taking it in, a lot of taking it in. But it was a lot of movement. And the day I was recovering, we got some stillness and the chillness. My friend, she stayed back with me. The family that was hosting us, they went off to Rome, and we just had that day to just relax. And the sun was out, and we found a blanket, and we went outside in this little ancient village we were in, and we walked around, and we met up with some cats, like some literal cats, these brother-sister little duo, and they were so friendly to us. And obviously they're like, okay, we're all playing today, we're hanging out. So we find a nice hillside to lay the blanket down, and we're just laying in the sun with the cats and, like, you know, playing with them, trying to relax. They're biting and licking our toes, and we're like, stop it, you're so cute, but stop it. That was my favorite day. And then we watched a movie that night. Obviously, we selected one that took place in Italy. Since we couldn't be running around experiencing all the places, we thought, let's just watch a movie where they're taking us everywhere. And the calmness of that, it felt really nourishing and restorative. I think the truth here is addition by subtraction, right? Like, things get better by taking things away. A lot of the time, our lives are just too full. There's too much stuff going on, too many different aspects that we have to be tending to, that it is elevating stress. And when stress is elevated, it's very hard to be happy. So if we can just simplify and just get rid of that, simplify wherever you can, you will be happier. And when you're happier, you will be healthier. And when you're healthier, you will be happier. And on it goes in the most lovely positive feedback loop. So we simplify. Okay. That was really my biggest takeaway from Italy. Enjoy all the pleasures of life. Don't overcomplicate. And hang out with some cats in the sun. Oh, and this point, thirdly. So also, just making my observations, I got the food poisoning. My friend who was traveling with me, who we basically ate the same thing all the time. Like, we shared everything. She did not get food poisoning, okay? So she was spared. Universe was so kind that thus she was able to take care of me when I needed help. And then on the day we had to fly out, she woke up with some kind of nasty viral flu. Like, she did not feel good getting to the airport, on the plane, the whole thing. She was like, you were getting all the cheap, thin, plain blankets, wrapping her up in a babushka. She was not doing well. And meanwhile, I felt perfectly fine, and I was able to then tend to her. Now, was I nervous that I was going to catch whatever she had, because I was sitting next to her on the plane for 9 hours, breathing the same air and, like trying to I'm helping her. There was a sliver in my consciousness that was worried. But there was a bigger part that was like, I'm going to be just fine. I'm fine. I know I'm fine.
I'm fine.
And you know what? That part won. I didn't get sick. When I got back from Italy, yes, I was boosting myself, back on the green drink, did some oregano oil shots for a few days, but I did not get whatever flu hit her. And I'm talking about this because I just want to make a point for the immune system and the consciousness system and our energetic power. So, I do think that had I been sitting next to her on that whole flight, freaking out, oh my God, I'm going to get sick, I think I very well may have gotten sick. But I didn't, because I just knew my body's so strong, I'm going to be okay. Like, it's not the seed, it's the soil. That's it. Even if I had been sick a couple days prior and my soil took a hit, maybe that hit my soil took kind of revved up my immune system, composted the suffering and churned it up. And this is how we work. Humans, they say, are anti-fragile. When a human takes a hit, we build back stronger. The opposite of glass. When glass takes a hit, it shatters. When humans take a hit, it's like, oh no, I'm going to have to really beef this up because this might happen again, and I'm going to have to be able to adapt. So to be a human is awesome, and we must remember that awesomeness power. Tap into it. Tappy tap. Okay. Quick story for the end here, which is an example of, we're going to call it, for the sake of calling it anything, frequency-led decision-making. And we can call it my mishigas as well. But basically, I had moved to a new apartment. I need to get various furnishings, and I needed a rug. And once I started going down the rabbit hole of rugs and the different types and fibers, and as I learned that natural fibers are healthier to have in the home, like cotton and wool and jute, and a lot more expensive. And then there are the synthetic rugs that are like polyester or this polypropylene that I kept seeing on so many, that they were so cute and inexpensive, but they're made with this polypropylene. And I'm like, what's that? And some kind of a thermoplastic polymer. It's basically some kind of plastic. And so I got all sketched out about this plastic. I don't want the fumes in my home, and I need a natural fiber rug. And like, I couldn't make a decision because I didn't really like any of them. And All that being said, in the end, I came across one that I was looking for the design of it. I wanted it to match my couch that I'd finally made a decision on. And so I had searched for something like that. And this rug that came up, it was just so beautiful, and it would have matched my couch so perfectly. The color, the line design, I got like this corduroy, and I just loved it. And it was like $100. And it was made of polypropylene. And want to know what I did? You know what I did. Because I'm always going to make the choice that leads toward the higher vibes. And I just knew that if I saw that pretty polypropylene rug, saying that 5 times fast, but yeah, if I see this rug every day, and it makes me so happy because it fits so perfectly in the space, it just feels right. As compared to if I saw one of the natural fiber ones every day, I would feel a little bummed out because the aesthetics are not what I really want in my space, and that the happier vibes are going to be better for me no matter what, and that the stress of the whole thing was worse for me than anything. So I decided to just let that go and get the one that I want, and I love it so much, and it is great vibes. Every time I look at it, I smile, and I think that's got to be worth something for the health of the body, right? Time to land the plane. As I come to a close, let us once again just drop into our bodies and take note of where we are, the surroundings, where we are within ourselves, whether or not we're holding tension in any place of our body, and if we can notice it, then if we could let it go, wouldn't that be nice? Maybe shake it out. Maybe after you listen to this, put on your favorite dancey music and bop around a little bit. Or maybe just take whatever is in your ears out and listen to your surroundings and your breath. Whatever it is you want to do, you do what you want to do. That's the whole idea. You get to choose. Okay, my friends? Next episode is going to be super fun. I'm not even going to tell you what it's about, but I'm really jazzed already. All right? Fun, beautiful, inspirational, insightful things ahead, and onward and forward we go. We are all in this together, and let's have a good time with it. And as always, if you have any questions or comments or suggestions on things you want me to spiel about, please feel free to reach out at connect@drmaxgotyourback.com. You can also go to the website, drmaxgotyourback.com, and go through the contact form, or on Instagram, the handle, on and on, all the ways that we can connect. And I'd love to connect with you. And I'm going to leave you on a note of connecting with nature, because we are nature. And when we connect with nature, we connect with ourselves, and it feels so good. So I'm going to share with you some nature sounds that I recorded along with our singing bowl to set the tone for the rest of the time. Love and light, listener. And deep diaphragmatic breaths with relaxed shoulders and eyes and minds and thighs, behinds.